Hey guys, so today I'm going to be explaining link summoning and why it doesn't ruin Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright, so let's take a look at these new link monsters here. So, essentially there are monsters that go into your extra deck. They have no level or rank. However, they have something called a link level. What the link level is essentially the materials needed to actually summon this. So let's say you have a pre-existing link monster, its link level will go towards that level itself, and then you have to use the rest of the materials in order to summon this thing. The arrows here, so essentially each player has a zone, you have an extra deck zone. You can summon normal extra deck monsters in those zones, or you can summon link monsters, and these arrows will point to zones that you can use for extra deck. So let's say you summon this guy, you're able to now summon 2 monsters from the extra deck into your main monster zones. Your opponent also would get one, I assume. So what this means is it's going to slow down Yu-Gi-Oh! Quite a bit, but it forces us to link summon. So this should get interesting. Link monsters can't be moved to defense position, and any monster summoned from the extra deck now, like, let's say you summon any kind of Xyz after you summon this guy, if you would special summon the Xyz back, it goes to the normal monster zone. So, I'm not sure exactly why they say that the link monster zones are shared. There's really no sharing per se. I mean, either player gets one. So, we're just gonna have to see how that goes. So, as of right now, this is how our game board looks. You have your spell and trap zones, your monster zones, your 2 pendulum zones, your extra, regular deck, and your graveyard. So what's happening now is all your link monsters are going to your extra deck. That's not a big change. But what's happening is these 2 spell and trap zones are now duo with your pendulum zones. So you put your pendulum monsters in here, and if that's the case, you can only set 3 spell or trap cards, or use 3 spell or trap cards alongside your pendulum cards themselves. I really don't know how I feel about this change. Most pendulum decks don't really use a ton of back row. You only ever usually set 2 or 3 cards anyway, so I don't feel like that changes a whole lot, but I feel like it could essentially matter in the end. The only other change is what's happening is we're having 2 link extra deck zones essentially. What these are 2 zones, like essentially like right there, and either player summons a link monster in one of these zones, and that points to zones that you're allowed to summon extra deck monsters onto the field with. So it's really weird how that's going to work, but it's not really that bad. I mean, it's not a huge change. Essentially, you just have to summon one of these guys before you can summon these guys. So it makes an extra step, and it slows the game down a lot. It's going to make it where these unstoppable board decks can't really, like, win first turn. I mean, it makes it to where the match isn't determined by the dice roll, which really is a huge change in Yu-Gi-Oh! I know a lot of people that have quit this game because they hate the fact that people can just build unstoppable boards first turn and then they just can't play. If there's no player interaction or no playing at all, who's going to want to even play this game? So I think this will definitely be a right step into the future of the card game itself. So going back to link monsters and how to summon them. So let's say this is the link monster that we saw earlier. It's called Decode Talker. Its summoning condition is 2 or more effect monsters, and its link is 3. So there's 2 ways to summon this. You can either use 2 or more effect monsters, and you have to get monsters up to the number of link that it is. So you have to send 3. Or you can send a pre-existing link monster, and that link level goes towards what it is. So let's say you have a link level of 2. You can send the link level of 2 and 1 extra deck monster to the graveyard and summon this to your link zone, extra deck zone. So essentially what this means, your pendulum monsters would just go to your extra deck, and effect monsters go to the graveyard. You summon this guy, they all stay in your extra deck, so you would just summon it straight out, and then the zones that are to the right and left of it are able to be used to special summon from the extra deck. It states on the article that you can summon things like Fusion, Xyz, and Synchros to these. It does not state whether or not you can actually Pendulum summon, or you have to actually have a Link monster in order to Pendulum summon. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But it's not too awful. It's actually pretty simple. The only thing after this is whether or not certain cards will become staples again. I mean, compulsory evacuation device could become a huge blowout. I mean, they send 2 or 3 monsters in order to get one guy that allows them to actually special summon from the extra deck, and your opponent just compulses it back. So this will be definitely a huge idea. And like anything, it will change, it will evolve, it will get better. I mean, it'll be a lot easier to summon anything. Like, pendulums were just an awful idea at first, because special summoning 3 monsters and not getting anything after that was awful. I mean, that's why pendulum decks like Dino Mist are not a thing. And pendulum decks like Metal Foe and Performapal and everything were ideas, because you destroy your own cards to gain advantage and you just get more. I'm hoping as we go through and go forward, decks are still combo based and don't require your opponent to play in order for you to play. I assume it's not gonna be that way. And I actually hope old archetypes get specific Link monsters. I mean, it would be so amazing to see things like Synchron Link monsters and Lightsworn Link monsters that allow you to actually just play like you normally would, except it makes the deck better. It'll definitely be interesting as we go forward to see how these decks are going to play out. I don't think this will actually ruin the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it evolves it, and it's definitely going to make it better, but much harder to learn. A lot of people might not want to try to learn Yu-Gi-Oh! Simply because it is incredibly hard to learn now. But so separates the bad from the good players, I suppose. Adaptation and evolution. But I'll catch you guys later. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'll be able to explain it more. Hopefully I explained everything as thoroughly as you could possibly want. But I'll catch you guys later.